Psalms 51 through 60 of the Book of the Psalms, from the Young's Literal Translation of the Bible, translated by Robert Young. This Libreviox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Mark Penfold. Psalm 51. To the Overseer, a psalm of David, in the coming in unto him of Nathan the prophet, when he hath gone in unto Bathsheba. Favor me, O God, according to thy kindness, according to the abundance of thy mercies. Blot out my transgressions. Thoroughly wash me from mine iniquity, and from my sin cleanse me. For my transgressions I do know, and my sin is before me continually. Against thee, thee only, I have sinned, and done the evil thing in thine eyes, so that thou art righteous in thy words, thou art pure in thy judging. Lo, in iniquity I have been brought forth, and in sin doth my mother conceive me. Lo, truth thou hast desired in the inward parts, and in the hidden part wisdom thou causest me to know. Thou cleansest me with hyssop, and I am clean, washest me, and then snow, I am whiter. Thou causest me to hear joy and gladness, thou makest joyful bones, thou hast bruised. Hide thy face from my sin, and all mine iniquities blot out. A clean heart prepare for me, O God, and a right spirit renew within me. Cast me not forth from thy presence, and thy Holy Spirit take not from me. Restore to me the joy of thy salvation, and a willing spirit doth sustain me. I teach transgressors thy ways, and sinners unto thee do return. Deliver me from blood, O God, God of my salvation. My tongue singeth of thy righteousness. O Lord, my lips thou dost open, and my mouth declareth thy praise. For thou desirest not sacrifice, or I give it. Burnt offering thou acceptest not. The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, a heart broken and bruised, O God, thou dost not despise. Do good in thy good pleasure with Zion, thou dost build the walls of Jerusalem. Then thou desirest sacrifices of righteousness, burnt offering and whole burnt offering. Then they offer bullocks on thine altar. Psalm 52. To the Overseer, an instruction by David in the coming in of Doeg the Edomite. And he declareth to Saul, and saith to him, David come in unto the house of Ahimelech. What? Boasteth thou in evil, O mighty one? The kindness of God is all the day. Mischiefs doth thy tongue devise, like a sharp razor working deceit. Thou hast loved evil rather than good, lying than speaking righteousness. Selah. Thou hast loved all devouring words, O thou deceitful tongue. Also, God doth break thee down for ever, taketh thee, and pulleth thee out of the tent, and he hath uprooted thee out of the land of the living. Selah. And the righteous see, and fear, and laugh at him. Lo, the man who maketh not God his strong place, and trusteth in the abundance of his riches, he is strong in his mischiefs. And I, as a green olive in the house of God, I have trusted in the kindness of God, to the age and forever. I thank thee to the age, because thou hast done it, and I wait on thy name, for it is good before thy saints. Psalm 53. To the Overseer, on a disease, an instruction by David. A fool said in his heart, There is no God. They have done corruptly, yea, they have done abominable iniquity. There is none doing good. God from the heavens looked on the sons of men, to see if there be an understanding one seeking God. Every one went back. Together they became filthy. There is none doing good, not even one. Have not workers of iniquity known? Those eating my people have eaten bread. God they have not called. There they feared a fear. There was no fear, for God hath scattered the bones of him who is encamping against thee. Thou hast put to shame, for God hath despised them. Who doth give from Zion the salvation of Israel? When God turneth back to a captivity of his people, Jacob doth rejoice. Israel is glad. Psalm 54. To the Overseer with stringed instruments, an instruction by David in the coming in of the Ziphim. And they say to Saul, Is not David hiding himself with us? O God, by thy name save me, and by thy might judge me. O God, hear my prayer. Give ear to the sayings of my mouth. For strangers have risen up against me, and terrible ones have sought my soul. They have not set God before them. Selah. Lo, God is a helper to me. The Lord is with those supporting my soul. Turn back doth the evil thing to mine enemies. In thy truth cut them off. With a freewill offering I sacrifice to thee. I thank thy name, O Jehovah, for it is good. For from all adversity he delivered me, and on mine enemies hath mine eye looked. Psalm 55. To the overseer with stringed instruments. An instruction by David. Give ear, O God, to my prayer, and hide not from my supplication. Attend to me and answer me. I mourn in my meditation and make a noise, because of the voice of an enemy, because of the oppression of the wicked, for they cause sorrow to move against me, and in anger they hate me. My heart is pained within me, and terrors of death have fallen on me. Fear and trembling come into me, and horror doth cover me. And I say, who doth give to me a pinion as a dove? I fly away and rest. Lo, I move far off. I lodge in a wilderness. Selah. I hasten escape for myself, from a rushing wind, from a whirlwind. Swallow up, O Lord, divide their tongue, for I saw violence and strife in a city. By day and by night they go round it, on its walls. Both iniquity and perverseness are in its midst. Mischiefs are in its midst. Fraud and deceit depart not from its street. For an enemy reproacheth me not, or I bear it. He who is hating me hath not magnified himself against me, or I hide from him. But thou, a man, as mine equal, my familiar friend, and mine acquaintance, when together we sweeten counsel, into the house of God we walk in company. Desolations are upon them, they go down to Sheol alive, for wickedness is in their dwelling, in their midst. To God I call, and Jehovah saveth me. Evening and morning and noon I meditate and make a noise, and he heareth my voice. He hath ransomed in peace my soul from him who was near to me, for with the multitude they were with me. God doth hear and afflict them, and he sitteth of old. Selah. Because they have no changes, and fear not God. He hath sent forth his hands against his well-wishers. He hath polluted his covenant. Sweeter than honey hath been his mouth, and his heart is war. Softer have been his words than oil, and they are drawn swords. Cast on Jehovah that which he hath given thee, and he doth sustain thee. He doth not suffer forever the moving of the righteous. And thou, O God, dost bring them down to a pit of destruction. Men of blood and deceit reach not to half their days, and I do trust in thee. Psalm 56. To the overseer, on the dumb dove far off. A secret treasure of David, in the Philistines taking hold of him in Gath. Favor me, O God, for man swallowed me up. All the day fighting he oppresseth me. Mine enemies have swallowed up all the day, for many are fighting against me, O Most High. The day I am afraid, I am confident toward thee. In God I praise his word. In God I have trusted. I fear not what flesh doth to me. All the day they wrest my words. Concerning me all their thoughts are for evil. They assemble, they hide, they watch my heels, when they have expected my soul. By iniquity they escape. In anger the peoples put down, O God. My wandering thou hast counted. Place thou my tear in thy bottle. Are they not in thy book? Then turn back to mine enemies in the day I call. This I have known, that God is for me. In God I praise the word. In Jehovah I praise the word. In God I trusted. I fear not what man doth to me. On me, O God, are thy vows. I repay thank offerings to thee. For thou hast delivered my soul from death. Dost thou not my feet from failing? To walk habitually before God in the light of the living. Psalm 57. To the overseer. Destroy not. A secret treasure of David, in his fleeing from the face of Saul into a cave. Favor me, O God, favor me, for in thee is my soul trusting, and in the shadow of thy wings I trust, until the calamities pass over. I call to God Most High, to God who is perfecting for me. He sendeth from the heaven, and saveth me. He reproached, who is panting after me. Selah. God sendeth forth his kindness and his truth. My soul is in the midst of lions. I lie down among flames. Sons of men, their teeth are a spear and arrows, and their tongue a sharp sword. Be thou exalted above the heavens, O God, above all the earth thine honor. A net they have prepared for my steps. Bowed down hath my soul. They have digged before me a pit. They have fallen into its midst. Selah. Prepared is my heart, O God, prepared is my heart. I sing and praise.
Awake, mine honor! Awake, psaltery and harp! I awake the morning dawn. I thank thee among the peoples, O Lord. I praise thee among the nations. For great unto the heavens is thy kindness, and unto the clouds thy truth. Be thou exalted above the heavens, O God, above all the earth thine honor.
Psalm 58. To the Overseer. Destroy not. A secret treasure by David.
Is it true, O dumb one, righteously ye speak? Uprightly ye judge, O sons of men? Even in heart ye work iniquities, in the land the violence of your hands ye ponder. The wicked have been estranged from the womb, they have erred from the belly, speaking lies. Their poison is as poison of a serpent, as a deaf asp shutting its ear, which hearkeneth not to the voice of whisperers, a charmer of charms most skillful. O God, break their teeth in their mouth, the jaw teeth of young lions break down, O Jehovah. They are melted as waters, they go up and down for themselves. His arrow proceedeth as they cut themselves off. As a snail that melteth he goeth on, as an untimely birth of a woman. They have not seen the sun. Before your pots discern the bramble, as well the raw as the heated he whirleth away. The righteous rejoiceth that he hath seen vengeance, his steps he washeth in the blood of the wicked. And man saith, Surely fruit is for the righteous, surely there is a God judging in the earth.
Psalm 59. To the Overseer. Destroy not. By David. A secret treasure in Saul's sending, and they watch the house to put him to death.
Deliver me from mine enemies, O my God. From my withstanders set me on high. Deliver me from workers of iniquity, and from men of blood save me. For, lo, they laid wait for my soul. Assembled against me are strong ones. Not my transgression nor my sin, O Jehovah. Without punishment they run and prepare themselves. Stir up to meet me, and see. And thou, Jehovah, God of hosts, God of Israel, awake to inspect all the nations. Favor not any treacherous dealers of iniquity. Selah. They turn back at evening. They make a noise like a dog, and go round about the city. Lo, they belch out with their mouths. Swords are in their lips. For who heareth? And thou, O Jehovah, dost laugh at them. Thou dost mock at all the nations. O my strength, unto thee I take heed. For God is my tower, the God of my kindness. God doth go before me. He causeth me to look on mine enemies. Slay them not, lest my people forget. Shake them by thy strength, and bring them down, O Lord our shield. The sin of their mouth is a word of their lips, and they are captured in their pride, and from the curse and lying they recount. Consume in fury, consume, and they are not, and they know that God is ruling in Jacob to the ends of the earth. Selah. And they turn back at evening. They make a noise like a dog, and they go round about the city. They wander for food. If they are not satisfied, then they murmur. And I sing of thy strength, and I sing at morn of thy kindness. For thou hast been a tower to me, and a refuge for me in a day of adversity. O my strength, unto thee I sing praise, for God is my tower, the God of my kindness.
Psalm 60. To the Overseer. Concerning the lily of testimony, a secret treasure of David, to teach, in his striving with Aram Naharaim, and with Aram Zobah. And Joab turneth back and smiteth Edom in the valley of Salt. 12,000.
O God, thou hadst cast us off, thou hadst broken us, hadst been angry, thou dost turn back to us. Thou hast caused the land to tremble, thou hast broken it. Heal its breaches, for it hath moved. Thou hast shewn thy people a hard thing. Thou hast caused us to drink wine of trembling. Thou hast given to us those fearing thee an ensign, to be lifted up as an ensign because of truth. Selah. That thy beloved ones may be drawn out, save with thy right hand, and answer us. God hath spoken in his holiness. I exult. I apportion Shechem, and the valley of Succoth I measure. Mine is Gilead, and mine is Manasseh, and Ephraim is the strength of my head. Judah is my lawgiver. Moab is my pot for washing. Over Edom I cast my shoe. Shout concerning me, O Philistia. Who doth bring me to a city of bulwarks? Who hath led me unto Edom? Is it not thou, O God? Hast thou cast us off? And dost thou not go forth, O God, with our hosts? Give to us help from adversity, and vain is the deliverance of man. In God we do mightily, and he treadeth down our adversaries.
The end of Psalms 51 through 60. Recording by Mark Penfold.
Psalms 61 through 70 of the Book of the Psalms, from the Young's Literal Translation of the Bible, translated by Robert Young. This Libreviox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Mark Penfold. Psalm 61. To the Overseer on Stringed Instruments, by David. Hear, O God, my loud cry, attend to my prayer. From the end of the land unto thee I call, in the feebleness of my heart, into a rock higher than thou dost lead me. For thou hast been a refuge for me, a tower of strength because of the enemy. I sojourn in thy tent to the ages, I trust in the secret place of thy wings. Selah. For thou, O God, hast hearkened to my vows, thou hast appointed the inheritance of those fearing thy name. Days to the days of the king thou addest, his years as generation and generation. He dwelleth to the age before God, kindness and truth appoint, they keep him. So do I praise thy name forever, when I pay my vows day by day. Psalm 62. To the Overseer, for Jeduthun, a psalm of David. Only toward God is my soul silent, from him is my salvation. Only he is my rock and my salvation, my tower, I am not much moved. Till when do ye devise mischief against a man? Ye are destroyed, all of you, as a wall inclined, a hedge that is cast down. Only from his excellency they have consulted to drive away. They enjoy a lie, with their mouth they bless, and with their heart revile. Selah. Only for God be silent, O my soul, for from him is my hope. Only he is my rock and my salvation, my tower, I am not moved. On God is my salvation and my honor, the rock of my strength, my refuge is in God. Trust in him at all times, O people, pour forth before him your heart. God is a refuge for us. Selah. Only vanity are the low, a lie the high. In balances to go up they than vanity are lighter. Trust not in oppression, and in robbery become not vain. Wealth, when it increaseth, set not the heart. Once hath God spoken, twice I heard this, that strength is with God. And with thee, O Lord, is kindness, for thou dost recompense to each according to his work. Psalm 63. A psalm of David, in his being in the wilderness of Judah. O God, thou art my God, earnestly do I seek thee. Thirsted for thee hath my soul, longed for thee hath my flesh, in a land dry and weary, without waters. So in the sanctuary I have seen thee, to behold thy strength and thine honor. Because better is thy kindness than life, my lips do praise thee. So I bless thee in my life, in thy name I lift up my hands. As with milk and fatness is my soul satisfied, and with singing lips doth my mouth praise. If I have remembered thee on my couch, in the watches, I meditate on thee. For thou hast been a help to me, and in the shadow of thy wings I sing. Cleaved hath my soul after thee, on me hath thy right hand taken hold. And they who for desolation seek my soul go into the lower parts of the earth. They cause him to run on the edge of the sword, a portion for foxes they are. And the king doth rejoice in God, boast himself doth every one swearing by him. But stopped is the mouth of those speaking lies. Psalm 64. To the Overseer, a psalm of David. Hear, O God, my voice in my meditation. From the fear of an enemy thou keepest my life. Hidest me from the secret counsel of evildoers, from the tumult of workers of iniquity, who sharpened as a sword their tongue, they directed their arrow, a bitter word. To shoot in secret places the perfect, suddenly they shoot him, and fear not. They strengthen for themselves an evil thing, they recount of the hiding of snares. They have said, who doth look at it? They search out perverse things. We perfected a searching search. And the inward part of man and the heart are deep. And God doth shoot them with an arrow, sudden have been their wounds. And they cause him to stumble, against them is their own tongue. Every looker on them fleeth away. And all men fear, and declare the work of God, and his deed they have considered wisely. The righteous doth rejoice in Jehovah, and hath trusted in him, and boast themselves do all the upright of heart. Psalm 65. To the Overseer, a psalm of David, a song. To thee silence, praise, O God, is in Zion, and to thee is a vow completed. Hearer of prayer, to thee all flesh cometh. Matters of iniquities were mightier than I, our transgressions, thou dost cover them. O the happiness of him who thou choosest, and drawest near, he inhabiteth thy courts. We are satisfied with the goodness of thy house, thy holy temple. By fearful things in righteousness thou answerest us, O God of our salvation, the confidence of all far-off ends of earth and sea. Establishing mountains by his power, he hath been girded with might, restraining the noise of seas, the noise of their bellows, and the multitude of the peoples. And the inhabitants of the uttermost parts from thy signs are afraid. The outgoings of morning and evening thou causest to sing. Thou hast inspected the earth, and waterest it. Thou makest it very rich. The rivulet of God is full of water. Thou preparest their corn, when thus thou dost prepare it. Its ridges have been filled, deepened hath been its furrow. With showers thou dost soften it. Its springing up thou blessest. Thou hast crowned the year of thy goodness, and thy paths drop fatness. Drop do the pastures of the wilderness, and joy of the heights thou girdest on. Clothed have lambs the flock, and valleys are covered with corn. They shout, yea, they sing. Psalm 66. To the Overseer, a song, a psalm. Shout ye to God, all the earth. Praise ye the honor of his name. Make ye honorable his praise. Say to God, how fearful are thy works! By the abundance of thy strength thine enemies feign obedience to thee. All the earth do bow to thee. They sing praise to thee. They praise thy name. Selah. Come ye and see the works of God, fearful acts toward the sons of men. He hath turned a sea to dry land. Through a river they pass over on foot. There do we rejoice in him. Ruling by his might to the age, his eyes among the nations do watch. The refractory exalt not themselves. Selah. Bless, ye peoples, our God, and sound the voice of his praise, who hath placed our soul in life, and suffered not our feet to be moved. For thou hast tried us, O God, thou hast refined us as the refining of silver. Thou hast brought us into a net, thou hast placed pressure on our loins. Thou hast caused man to ride at our head. We have entered into fire and into water, and thou bringest us out to a watered place. I enter thy house with burnt offerings, I complete to thee my vows. For opened were my lips, and my mouth spake in my distress. Burnt offerings of fatlings I offer to thee. With perfume of rams I prepare a bullock with he-goats. Selah. Come, hear, all ye who fear God, and I recount what he did for my soul. Unto him with my mouth I have called, and exaltation is under my tongue. Iniquity, if I have seen in my heart, the Lord doth not hear. But God hath heard, he hath attended to the voice of my prayer. Blessed is God, who hath not turned aside my prayer, and his loving kindness from me. Psalm 67. To the Overseer with stringed instruments, a psalm, a song. God doth favor us and bless us, doth cause his face to shine with us. Selah. For the knowledge in earth of thy way, among all nations of thy salvation. Praise thee do peoples, O God, praise thee do peoples, all of them. Rejoice and sing do nations, for thou judgest peoples uprightly, and peoples on earth comfortest. Selah. Confess thee do peoples, O God, confess thee do peoples, all of them. Earth hath given her increase. God doth bless us, our God. God doth bless us, and all ends of earth fear him. Psalm 68. To the Overseer, a psalm, a song of David. Rise doth God, scattered are his enemies, and those hating him flee from his face. As the driving away of smoke thou drivest away, as the melting of wax before fire, the wicked perish at the presence of God. And the righteous rejoice, they exult before God, and they joy with gladness. Sing ye to God, praise his name. Raise up a highway for him who is riding in deserts. In Jah is his name, and exult before him. Father of the fatherless and judge of the widows is God in his holy habitation. God, causing the lonely to dwell at home, bringing out bound ones into prosperity. Only the refractory have inhabited a dry place. O God, in thy going forth before thy people, in thy stepping through the wilderness. Selah. The earth hath shaken, yea, the heavens have dropped before God, this Sinai, before God, the God of Israel. A shower of freewill gifts thou shakest out, O God. Thine inheritance, when it hath been weary, thou hast established it. Thy company have dwelt in it. Thou preparest in thy goodness for the poor, O God. The Lord doth give the saying. The female proclaimers are a numerous host. Kings of hosts flee utterly away, and a female inhabitant of the house apportioneth spoil. Though ye do lie between two boundaries, wings of a dove covered with silver, and her pinions with yellow gold. When the mighty spreadeth kings in it, it doth snow in Salmon. A hill of God is the hill of Bashan, a hill of heights is the hill of Bashan. Why do ye envy, O high hills, the hill God hath desired for his seat? Jehovah also doth tabernacle forever. The chariots of God are myriads, thousands of changes. The Lord is among them, in Sinai, in the sanctuary. Thou hast ascended on high. Thou hast taken captive captivity. Thou hast taken gifts for men, that even the refractory may rest, O Jah God. Blessed is the Lord. Day by day he layeth on us. God himself is our salvation. Selah. God himself is to us a God for deliverances, and Jehovah Lord hath the outgoings of death. Only God doth smite the head of his enemies, the hairy crown of a habitual walker in his guilt. The Lord said, From Bashan I bring back from the depths of the sea, so that thou dashest thy foot in the blood of enemies, the tongue of thy dogs. They have seen thy goings, O God, goings of my God, my King, in the sanctuary. Singers have been before, behind are players on instruments, in the midst virgins playing with timbrels. In assemblies bless ye God the Lord, from the fountain of Israel. There is little Benjamin their ruler, heads of Judah their defense, heads of Zebulun, heads of Naphtali. Thy God hath commanded thy strength. Be strong, O God, this thou hast wrought for us. Because of thy temple at Jerusalem, to thee do kings bring a present. Rebuke a beast of the reeds, a company of bulls, with calves of the peoples, each humbling himself with pieces of silver. Scatter thou peoples delighting in conflicts. Come do fat ones out of Egypt. Cush causeth her hands to run to God. Kingdoms of the earth, sing ye to God. Praise ye the Lord. Selah. To him who is riding on the heavens of old, lo, he giveth with his voice a strong voice. Ascribe ye strength to God. Over Israel is his excellency, and his strength in the clouds. Fearful, O God, out of thy sanctuaries, the God of Israel himself, giving strength and might to the people. Blessed is God. Psalm 69. To the Overseer, on the Lilies, by David. Save me, O God, for come have waters unto the soul. I have sunk in deep mire, and there is no standing. I have come into the depths of the waters, and a flood hath overflown me. I have been wearied with my calling. Burnt hath been my throat, consumed have been mine eyes, waiting for my God. Those hating me without cause have been more than the hairs of my head. Mighty have been my destroyers, my lying enemies, that which I took not away, I bring back. O God, thou hast known concerning my overturn, and my desolations from thee have not been hid. Let not those waiting on thee be ashamed because of me, O Lord, Jehovah of hosts. Let not those seeking thee blush because of me, O God of Israel. For because of thee I have borne reproach, shame hath covered my face. A stranger I have been to my brother, and a foreigner to sons of my mother. For zeal for thy house hath consumed me, and the reproaches of thy reproachers have fallen upon me. And I weep in the fasting of my soul, and it is for a reproach to me. And I make my clothing sackcloth, and I am to them for a simile. Those sitting at the gate meditate concerning me, and those drinking strong drink play on instruments. And my prayer is to thee, O Jehovah, a time of good pleasure, O God, in the abundance of thy kindness. Answer me in the truth of thy salvation. Deliver me from the mire, and let me not sink. Let me be delivered from those hating me, and from deep places of waters. Let not a flood of waters overflow me, nor let the deep swallow me up, nor let the pit shut her mouth upon me. Answer me, O Jehovah, for good is thy kindness. According to the abundance of thy mercies, turn thou unto me. And hide not thy face from thy servant, for I am in distress. Haste, answer me. Be near unto my soul. Redeem it because of mine enemies. Ransom me. Thou hast known my reproach, and my shame, and my blushing. Before thee are all mine adversaries. Reproach hath broken my heart, and I am sick, and I look for a bemoaner, and there is none, and for comforters, and I have found none. And they give for my food gall, and for my thirst cause me to drink vinegar. Their table before them is for a snare, and for a recompense, for a trap. Darkened are their eyes from seeing, and their loins continually shake thou. Pour upon them thine indignation, and the fierceness of thine anger doth seize them. Their tower is desolated, in their tents there is no dweller. For they have pursued him thou hast smitten, and recount of the pain of thy pierced ones. Give punishment for their iniquity, and they enter not into thy righteousness. They are blotted out of the book of life, and with the righteous are not written. And I am afflicted and pained. Thy salvation, O God, doth set me on high. I praise the name of God with a song, and I magnify him with thanksgiving. And it is better to Jehovah than an ox, a bullock, horned, hoofed. The humble have seen, they rejoice, ye who seek God, and your heart liveth. For Jehovah hearkeneth unto the needy, and his bound ones he hath not despised. The heavens and earth do praise him, seas and every moving thing in them. For God doth save Zion, and doth build the cities of Judah, and they have dwelt there and possess it. And the seed of his servants inherit it, and those loving his name dwell in it.
Psalm 70. To the Overseer, by David. To cause to remember.
O God, to deliver me, O Jehovah, for my help, haste. Let them be ashamed and confounded who are seeking my soul. Let them be turned backward and blush who are desiring my evil. Let them turn back because of their shame, who are saying, Aha, aha. Let all those seeking thee joy and be glad in thee, and let those loving thy salvation say continually, God is magnified. And I am poor and needy, O God. Haste to me. My help and my deliverer art thou. O Jehovah, tarry thou not.
The end of Psalms 61 through 70. Recording by Mark Penfold. Psalms 71 through 80 of the Book of the Psalms, from the Young's Literal Translation of the Bible, translated by Robert Young. This Libreviox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Mark Penfold.
Psalm 71. In thee, O Jehovah, I have trusted. Let me not be ashamed to the age. In thy righteousness thou dost deliver me, and dost cause me to escape. Incline unto me thine ear, and save me. Be to me for a rock, a habitation, to go in continually. Thou hast given command to save me, for my rock and my bulwark art thou. O my God, cause me to escape from the hand of the wicked, from the hand of the perverse and violent. For thou art my hope, O Lord Jehovah, my trust from my youth. By thee I have been supported from the womb. From my mother's bowels thou dost cut me out. In thee is my praise continually. As a wonder I have been to many, and thou art my strong refuge. Filled is my mouth with thy praise, all the day with thy beauty. Cast me not off at the time of old age. According to the consumption of my power, forsake me not. For mine enemies have spoken against me, and those watching my soul have taken counsel together, saying, God hath forsaken him. Pursue and catch him, for there is no deliverer. O God, be not far from me. O my God, for my help make haste. They are ashamed, they are consumed, who are opposing my soul. They are covered with reproach and blushing, who are seeking my evil. And I continually do wait with hope, and have added unto all thy praise. My mouth recounteth thy righteousness, all the day thy salvation, for I have not known the numbers. I come in the might of the Lord Jehovah. I mention thy righteousness, thine only. God, thou hast taught me from my youth, and hitherto I declare thy wonders. And also unto old age and gray hairs, O God, forsake me not, till I declare thy strength to a generation, to every one that cometh thy might. And thy righteousness, O God, is unto the heights, because thou hast done great things. O God, who is like thee? Because thou hast showed me many and sad distresses. Thou turnest back, thou revivest me, and from the depths of the soul thou turnest back, thou bringest me up. Thou dost increase my greatness, and thou surroundest, thou comfortest me. I also thank thee with a vessel of psaltery. Thy truth, O my God, I sing to thee with a harp, O Holy One of Israel. My lips cry aloud when I sing praise to thee, and my soul that thou hast redeemed. My tongue also all the day uttereth thy righteousness, because ashamed, because confounded have been those seeking my evil.
Psalm 72 by Solomon. O God, thy judgments to the king give, and thy righteousness to the king's son. He judgeth thy people with righteousness, and thy poor with judgment. The mountains bear peace to the people, and the heights by righteousness. He judgeth the poor of the people, giveth deliverance to the sons of the needy, and bruiseth the oppressor. They fear thee with the sun, and before the moon, generations. He cometh down as rain on mown grass, as showers, sprinkling the earth. Flourish in his days doth the righteous, and abundance of peace till the moon is not. And he ruleth from sea unto sea, and from the river unto the ends of earth. Before him bow do the inhabitants of the dry places, and his enemies lick the dust. Kings of Tarshish and of the isles send back a present. Kings of Sheba and Seba a reward bring near. And all kings do bow themselves to him, all nations do serve him, for he delivereth the needy who crieth, and the poor when he hath no helper. He hath pity on the poor and needy, and the souls of the needy he saveth. From fraud and from violence he redeemeth their soul, and precious is their blood in his eyes. And he liveth, and giveth to him of the gold of Sheba, and prayeth for him continually. All the day he doth bless him. There is a handful of corn in the earth, on the top of mountains. Shake like Lebanon doth its fruit, and they flourish out of the city as the herb of the earth. His name is to the age. Before the sun is his name continued. And they bless themselves in him. All nations do pronounce him happy. Blessed is Jehovah God, God of Israel. He alone is doing wonders. And blessed is the name of his honor to the age. And the whole earth is filled with his honor. Amen and amen. The prayers of David, son of Jesse, have been ended. Psalm 73, a psalm of Asaph. Only good to Israel is God, to the clean of heart. And I, as a little thing, my feet have been turned aside. As nothing have my steps slipped. For I have been envious of the boastful. The peace of the wicked I see, that there are no bands at their death, and their might is firm. In the misery of mortals they are not, and with common men they are not plagued. Therefore hath pride encircled them, violence covereth them as a dress. Their eye hath come out from fat, the imaginations of the heart transgressed. They do corruptly, and they speak in the wickedness of oppression. From on high they speak. They have set in the heavens their mouth, and their tongue walketh in the earth. Therefore do his people return thither, and waters of fullness are wrung out to them. And they have said, how hath God known? And is there knowledge in the Most High? Lo, these are the wicked and easy ones of the age. They have increased strength. Only a vain thing. I have purified my heart, and I wash in innocency my hands. And I am plagued all the day, and my reproof is every morning. If I have said, I recount thus,
Lo, a generation of thy sons I have deceived. And I think to know this, perverseness it is in mine eyes. Till I come in to the sanctuaries of God, I attend to their latter end. Only in slippery places thou dost set them. Thou hast caused them to fall to desolations. How have they become a desolation, as in a moment they have been ended, consumed from terrors. As a dream from awakening, O Lord, in awaking their image thou despisest. For my heart doth show itself violent, and my reins prick themselves, and I am brutish, and do not know. A beast I have been with thee. And I am continually with thee. Thou hast laid hold on my right hand. With thy counsel thou dost lead me, and after honor dost receive me. Whom have I in the heavens? And with thee none I have desired in earth. Consumed have been my flesh and my heart. The rock of my heart and my portion is God to the age. For, lo, those far from thee do perish. Thou hast cut off every one who is going a whoring from thee. And nearness of God to me is good. I have placed in the Lord Jehovah my refuge, to recount all thy works.
Psalm 74. An instruction of Asaph.
Why, O God, hast thou cast off forever? Thine anger smoketh against the flock of thy pasture. Remember thy company. Thou didst purchase of old, thou didst redeem the rod of thy inheritance, this Mount Zion, thou didst dwell in it. Lift up thy steps to the perpetual desolations. Everything the enemy did wickedly in the sanctuary. Roared have thine adversaries. In the midst of thy meeting places they have set their ensigns as ensigns. He is known as one bringing in on high against a thicket of wood, axes. And now its carvings together with axe and hatchet they break down. They have sent into fire thy sanctuary. To the earth they polluted the tabernacle of thy name. They said in their hearts, let us oppress them together. They did burn all the meeting places of God in the land. Our ensigns we have not seen. There is no more a prophet, nor with us is one knowing how long. Till when, O God, doth an adversary reproach? Doth an enemy despise thy name forever? Why dost thou turn back thy hand, even thy right hand? From the midst of thy bosom remove it. And God is my king of old, working salvation in the midst of the earth. Thou hast broken by thy strength a sea monster. Thou hast shivered heads of dragons by the waters. Thou hast broken the heads of Leviathan. Thou makest him food for the people of the dry places. Thou hast cleaved a fountain and a stream. Thou hast dried up perennial flowings. Thine is the day, also thine is the night. Thou hast prepared a light giver, the sun. Thou hast set up all the borders of earth. Summer and winter thou hast formed them. Remember this. An enemy reproached Jehovah, and a foolish people have despised thy name. Give not up to a company the soul of thy turtle dove. The company of thy poor ones forget not forever. Look attentively to the covenant, for the dark places of earth have been full of habitations of violence. Let not the oppressed turn back ashamed. Let the poor and needy praise thy name. Arise, O God, plead thy plea. Remember thy reproach from a fool all the day. Forget not the voice of thine adversaries. The noise of thy withstanders is going up continually.
Psalm 75. To the overseer, destroy not. A psalm of Asaph. A song.
We have given thanks to thee, O God. We have given thanks, and near is thy name. They have recounted thy wonders. When I receive an appointment, I do judge uprightly. Melted is the earth and all its inhabitants. I have pondered its pillars. Selah. I have said to the boastful, be not boastful, and to the wicked, raise not up a horn. Raise not up on high your horn. Ye speak with a stiff neck. For not from the east or from the west, nor from the wilderness is elevation. But God is judge. This he maketh low, and this he lifteth up. For a cup is in the hand of Jehovah, and the wine hath foamed, it is full of mixture, and he poureth out of it. Only its dregs ring out, and drink do all the wicked of the earth. And I declare it to the age, I sing praise to the God of Jacob. And all horns of the wicked I cut off. Exalted are the horns of the righteous. Psalm 76. To the overseer with stringed instruments, a psalm of Asaph, a song. In Judah is God known, in Israel his name is great, and his tabernacle is in Salem, and his habitation in Zion. There he hath shivered arrows of a bow, shield and sword and battle. Selah. Bright art thou, honorable above hills of prey. Spoiled themselves have the mighty of heart, they have slept their sleep, and none of the men of might found their hands. From thy rebuke, O God of Jacob, both rider and horse have been fast asleep. Thou, fearful art thou, and who doth stand before thee, since thou hast been angry? From heaven thou hast sounded judgment, earth hath feared and hath been still, in the rising of God to judgment, to save all the humble of earth. Selah. For the fierceness of man praiseth thee, the remnant of fierceness thou girdest on. Vow and complete to Jehovah your God, all ye surrounding him. They bring presents to the fearful one. He doth gather the spirit of leaders, fearful to the kings of earth. Psalm 77. To the overseer for Jeduthun, a psalm of Asaph. My voice is to God, and I cry. My voice is to God, and he hath given ear unto me. In a day of my distress the Lord I sought. My hand by night hath been spread out, and it doth not cease. My soul hath refused to be comforted. I remember God, and make a noise. I meditate, and feeble is my spirit. Selah. Thou hast taken hold of the watches of mine eyes. I have been moved, and I speak not. I have reckoned the days of old, the years of the ages. I remember my music in the night. With my heart I meditate, and my spirit doth search diligently. To the ages doth the Lord cast off? Doth he add to be pleased no more? Hath his kindness ceased forever? The saying failed to all generations? Hath God forgotten his favors? Hath he shut up in anger his mercies? Selah. And I say, my weakness is the changes of the right hand of the Most High. I mention the doings of Jah, for I remember of old thy wonders. And I have meditated on all thy working, and I talk concerning thy doings. O God, in holiness is thy way. Who is a great God like God? Thou art the God doing wonders. Thou hast made known among the peoples thy strength. Thou hast redeemed with strength thy people, the sons of Jacob and Joseph. Selah. The waters have seen thee, O God. The waters have seen thee. They are afraid. Also depths are troubled. Poured out waters have thick clouds. The skies have given forth a noise. Also thine arrows go up and down. The voice of thy thunder is in the spheres. Lightnings have lightened the world. The earth hath trembled, yea, it shaketh. In the sea is thy way, and thy paths are in many waters, and thy tracks have not been known. Thou hast led as a flock thy people by the hand of Moses and Aaron. Psalm 78. An instruction of Asaph. Give ear, O my people, to my law. Incline your ear to sayings of my mouth. I open with a simile my mouth. I bring forth hidden things of old, that we have heard and do know, and our fathers have recounted to us. We do not hide from their sons, to a later generation recounting praises of Jehovah, and his strength, and his wonders that he hath done. And he raiseth up a testimony in Jacob, and a law hath placed in Israel, that he commanded our fathers, to make them known to their sons, so that a later generation doth know, sons who are born do rise and recount to their sons, and place in God their confidence, and forget not the doings of God, but keep his commands. And they are not like their fathers, a generation apostate and rebellious, a generation, it hath not prepared its heart, nor steadfast with God is its spirit. Sons of Ephraim, armed bearers of bow, have turned in a day of conflict. They have not kept the covenant of God, and in his law they have refused to walk. And they forget his doings, and his wonders that he shewed them. Before their fathers he hath done wonders, in the land of Egypt, the field of Zoan. He cleft a sea, and causeth them to pass over. Yea, he causeth waters to stand as a heap, and leadeth them with a cloud by day, and all the night with a light of fire. He cleaveth rocks in a wilderness, and giveth drink as the great deep. And bringeth out streams from a rock, and causeth waters to come down as rivers. And they add still to sin against him, to provoke the Most High in the dry place. And they try God in their heart, to ask food for their lust. And they speak against God. They said, Is God able to array a table in a wilderness? Lo, he hath smitten a rock, and waters flow, yea, streams overflow. Also, bread is he able to give? Doth he prepare flesh for his people? Therefore hath Jehovah heard, and he sheweth himself wroth, and fire hath been kindled against Jacob. And anger also hath gone up against Israel, for they have not believed in God, nor have they trusted in his salvation. And he commandeth clouds from above, yea, doors of the heavens he hath opened, and he raineth on them manna to eat, yea, corn of heaven he hath given to them. Food of the mighty hath each eaten, venison he sent to them to satiety. He causeth an east wind to journey in the heavens, and leadeth by his strength a south wind. And he raineth on them flesh as dust, and as sand of the seas, winged fowl, and causeth it to fall in the midst of his camp round about his tabernacles. And they eat, and are greatly satisfied, and their desire he bringeth to them. They have not been estranged from their desire, yet is there food in their mouth, and the anger of God hath gone up against them, and he slayeth among their fat ones, and youths of Israel he caused to bend. With all this they have sinned again, and have not believed in his wonders. And he consumeth in vanity their days, and their years in trouble. If he slew them, then they sought him, and turned back, and sought God earnestly. And they remember that God is their rock, and God most high their Redeemer. And they deceive him with their mouth, and with their tongue do lie to him. And their heart hath not been right with him, and they have not been steadfast in his covenant. And he, the merciful one, pardoneth iniquity, and destroyeth not, and hath often turned back his anger, and waketh not up all his fury. And he remembereth that they are flesh, a wind going on, and it returneth not. How often do they provoke him in the wilderness, grieve him in the desolate place? Yea, they turn back and try God, and the Holy One of Israel have limited. They have not remembered his hand, the day he ransomed them from the adversary, when he set his sights in Egypt, and his wonders in the field of Zoan. And he turneth to blood their streams, and their floods they drink not. He sendeth among them the beetle, and it consumeth them, and the frog, and it destroyeth them, and giveth to the caterpillar their increase, and their labor to the locust. He destroyeth with hail their vine, and their sycamores with frost, and delivereth up to the hail their beasts, and their cattle to the burning flames. He sendeth on them the fury of his anger, wrath and indignation and distress, a discharge of evil messengers. He pondereth a path for his anger. He kept not back their soul from death. Yea, their life to the pestilence he delivered up. And he smiteth every firstborn in Egypt, the firstfruit of the strong in tents of Ham, and causeth his people to journey as a flock, and guideth them as a drove in a wilderness. And he leadeth them confidently, and they have not been afraid. And their enemies hath the sea covered. And he bringeth them in unto the border of his sanctuary, this mountain his right hand had got, and casteth out nations from before them, and causeth them to fall in the line of inheritance, and causeth the tribes of Israel to dwell in their tents. And they tempt and provoke God most Most High, and his testimonies have not kept. And they turn back and deal treacherously like their fathers. They have been turned like a deceitful bow, and make him angry with their high places, and with their graven images make him zealous. God hath heard, and sheweth himself wroth, and kicketh exceedingly against Israel. And he leaveth the tabernacle of Shiloh, the tent he had placed among men. And he giveth his strength to captivity, and his beauty into the hand of an adversary. And delivereth up to the sword his people, and with his inheritance shewed himself angry. His young men hath fire consumed, and his virgins have not been praised. His priests by the sword have fallen, and their widows weep not. And the Lord waketh as a sleeper, as a mighty one crying aloud from wine. And he smiteth his adversaries backward, a reproach age during he hath put on them. And he kicketh against the tent of Joseph, and on the tribe of Ephraim hath not fixed. And he chooseth the tribe of Judah, with Mount Zion that he loved, and buildeth his sanctuary as a high place like the earth. He founded it to the age. And he fixeth on David his servant, and taketh him from the folds of a flock. From behind suckling ones he hath brought him in, to rule over Jacob his people, and over Israel his inheritance. And he ruleth them according to the integrity of his heart, and by the skillfulness of his hands leadeth them. Psalm 79, a psalm of Asaph. O God, nations have come into thy inheritance. They have defiled thy holy temple. They made Jerusalem become heaps. They gave the dead bodies of thy servants food for the fowls of the heavens, the flesh of thy saints for the wild beast of the earth. They have shed their blood as water round about Jerusalem, and there is none burying. We have been a reproach to our neighbors, a scorn and a derision to our surrounders. Till when, O Jehovah, art thou angry forever? Thy jealousy doth burn as fire. Pour thy fury on the nations who have not known thee, and on kingdoms that have not called in thy name. For one hath devoured Jacob, and his habitation they have made desolate. Remember not for us the iniquities of forefathers. Haste, let thy mercies go before us, for we have been very weak. Help us, O God of our salvation, because of the honor of thy name, and deliver us, and cover over our sins for thy name's sake. Why do the nations say, where is their God? Let be known among the nations before our eyes the vengeance of the blood of thy servants that is shed. Let the groaning of the prisoner come in before thee. According to the greatness of thine arm leave thou the sons of death. And turn thou back to our neighbors sevenfold unto their bosom their reproach, wherewith they reproached thee, O Lord. And we, thy people, and the flock of thy pasture, we give thanks to thee to the age. To all generations we recount thy praise. Psalm 80, to the overseer, on the lilies, a testimony of Asaph, a psalm. Shepherd of Israel, give ear, leading Joseph as a flock, inhabiting the cherubs, shine forth. Before Ephraim and Benjamin and Manasseh, wake up thy might, and come for our salvation. O God, cause us to turn back, and cause thy face to shine, and we are saved. Jehovah, God of hosts, till when? Thou hast burned against the prayer of thy people. Thou hast caused them to eat bread of tears, and causest them to drink with tears a third time. Thou makest us a strife to our neighbors, and our enemies mock at it. God of hosts, turn us back, and cause thy face to shine, and we are saved. A vine out of Egypt thou dost bring, thou dost cast out nations, and plantest it. Thou hast looked before it, and dost root it, and it filleth the land. Covered have been hills with its shadow, and its boughs are cedars of God. It sendeth forth its branches unto the sea, and unto the river its sucklings. Why hast thou broken down its hedges, and all passing by the way have plucked it? A boar out of the forest doth waste it, and a wild beast of the fields consumeth it. God of hosts, turn back, we beseech thee. Look from heaven and see, and inspect this vine, and the root that thy right hand planted, and the branch thou madest strong for thee. burnt with fire, cut down, from the rebuke of thy face they perish. Let thy hand be on the man of thy right hand, on the Son of Man thou hast strengthened for thyself. And we do not go back from thee. Thou dost revive us, and in thy name we call. O Jehovah God of hosts, turn us back, cause thy face to shine, and we are saved.
The end of Psalms 71 through 80. Recording by Mark Penfold. Psalms 81 through 90 of the Book of the Psalms, from the Young's Literal Translation of the Bible, translated by Robert Young. This Libreviox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Mark Penfold. Psalm 81. To the Overseer, on the Gittith, by Asaph. Cry aloud to God our strength, shout to the God of Jacob. Lift up a song and give out a timbrel, a pleasant harp with psaltery. Blow in the month a trumpet, in the new moon, at the day of our festival. For a statute to Israel it is, an ordinance of the God of Jacob. A testimony on Joseph he hath placed it, in his going forth over the land of Egypt. A lip I have not known, I hear. From the burden his shoulder I turned aside, his hands from the basket pass over. In distress thou hast called, and I deliver thee. I answer thee in the secret place of thunder. I try thee by the waters of Meribah. Selah. Hear, O my people, and I testify to thee, O Israel, if thou dost hearken to me. There is not in thee a strange God, and thou bowest not thyself to a strange God. I am Jehovah thy God, who bringeth thee up out of the land of Egypt. Enlarge thy mouth, and I fill it. But my people hearkened not to my voice, and Israel hath not consented to me. And I send them away in the enmity of their heart. They walk in their own counsels. Oh, that my people were hearkening to me, Israel in my ways would walk. As a little thing their enemies I cause to bow, and against their adversaries I turn back my hand. Those hating Jehovah feign obedience to him, but their time is to the age. He causeth him to eat of the fat of wheat, and with honey from a rock I satisfy thee. Psalm 82. A Psalm of Asaph. God hath stood in the company of God, in the midst God doth judge. Till when do ye judge perversely, and the face of the wicked lift up? Selah. Judge ye the weak and fatherless, the afflicted and the poor declare righteous. Let the weak and needy escape. From the hand of the wicked deliver them. They knew not, nor do they understand. In darkness they walk habitually. Moved are all the foundations of earth. I have said, gods are ye, and sons of the Most High, all of you. But as man ye die, and as one of the heads ye fall. Rise, O God, judge the earth, for thou hast inheritance among all the nations. Psalm 83. A Song, a Psalm of Asaph. O God, let there be no silence to thee. Be not silent, nor be quiet, O God. For, lo, thine enemies do roar, and those hating thee have lifted up the head. Against thy people they take crafty counsel, and consult against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, and we cut them off from being a nation, and the name of Israel is not remembered any more. For they consulted in heart together, against thee a covenant they make. Tents of Edom, and Ishmaelites, Moab, and the Hagarenes, Gebal, and Ammon, and Amalek, Philistia with inhabitants of Tyre. Ashur also is joined with them. They have been an arm to sons of Lot. Selah. Do to them as to Midian, as to Sisera, as to Jabin at the stream Kishon. They were destroyed at Endor. They were dung for the ground. Make their nobles as Oreb and as Zeeb, and as Zeba and Zalmunna, all their princes, who have said, let us occupy for ourselves the comely places of God.
O my God, make them as a rolling thing, as stubble before wind. As a fire doth burn a forest, and as a flame setteth hills on fire, so dost thou pursue them with thy whirlwind, and with thy hurricane troublest them. Fill their faces with shame, and they seek thy name, O Jehovah. They are ashamed and troubled forever. Yea, they are confounded and lost. And they know that thou, thy name is Jehovah by thyself, art the Most High over all the earth. Psalm 84. To the Overseer, on the Gittith, by sons of Korah. A psalm. How beloved thy tabernacles, Jehovah of hosts! My soul desired, yea, it hath also been consumed, for the courts of Jehovah. My heart and my flesh cry aloud unto the living God. Even a sparrow hath found a house, and a swallow a nest for herself, where she hath placed her brood. Thine altars, O Jehovah of hosts, my King and my God. O the happiness of those inhabiting thy house, yet do they praise thee. Selah. O the happiness of a man whose strength is in thee! Highways are in their heart. Those passing through a valley of weeping, a fountain do make it. Blessings also cover the director. They go from strength unto strength. He appeareth unto God in Zion. O Jehovah God of hosts, hear my prayer. Give ear, O God of Jacob. Selah. Our shield, see, O God, and behold the face of thine anointed. For good is a day in thy courts, O teacher. I have chosen rather to be at the threshold, in the house of my God, than to dwell in tents of wickedness. For a sun and a shield is Jehovah God. Grace and honor doth Jehovah give. He withholdeth not good to those walking in uprightness. Jehovah of hosts, O the happiness of a man trusting in thee. Psalm 85. To the Overseer, by sons of Korah. A psalm. Thou hast accepted, O Jehovah, thy land. Thou hast turned to the captivity of Jacob. Thou hast borne away the iniquity of thy people. Thou hast covered all their sin. Selah. Thou hast gathered up all thy wrath. Thou hast turned back from the fierceness of thine anger. Turn back to us, O God of our salvation, and make void thine anger with us. To the age art thou angry against us? Dost thou draw out thine anger to generation and generation? Dost thou not turn back? Thou revivest us, and thy people do rejoice in thee. Show us, O Jehovah, thy kindness, and thy salvation thou dost give to us. I hear what God Jehovah speaketh, for he speaketh peace unto his people, and unto his saints, and they turn not back to folly. Only near to those fearing him is his salvation, that honor may dwell in our land. Kindness and truth have met, righteousness and peace have kissed. Truth from the earth springeth up, and righteousness from heaven looketh out. Jehovah also giveth that which is good, and our land doth give its increase. Righteousness before him goeth, and maketh his footsteps for a way. Psalm 86. A prayer of David. Incline, O Jehovah, thine ear. Answer me, for I am poor and needy. Keep my soul, for I am pious. Save thy servant, who is trusting to thee, O thou my God. Favor me, O Lord, for to thee I call all the day. Rejoice the soul of thy servant, for unto thee, O Lord, my soul I lift up. For thou, Lord, art good and forgiving, and abundant in kindness to all calling thee. Hear, O Jehovah, my prayer, and attend to the voice of my supplications. In a day of my distress I call thee, for thou dost answer me. There is none like thee among the gods, O Lord, and like thy works there are none. All nations that thou hast made, come and bow themselves before thee, O Lord, and give honor to thy name. For great art thou, and doing wonders. Thou art God thyself alone. Show me, O Jehovah, thy way. I walk in thy truth. My heart doth rejoice to fear thy name. I confess thee, O Lord my God, with all my heart, and I honor thy name to the age. For thy kindness is great toward me, and thou hast delivered my soul from the lowest Sheol. O God, The proud have risen up against me, and a company of the terrible sought my soul, and have not placed thee before them. And thou, O Lord, art God, merciful and gracious, slow to anger, and abundant in kindness and truth. Look unto me and favor me. Give thy strength to thy servant, and give salvation to a son of thine handmaid. Do with me a sign for good, and those hating me see and are ashamed. For thou, O Jehovah, hast helped me. Yea, thou hast comforted me.
Psalm 87. By sons of Korah, a psalm, a song. His foundation is in holy mountains. Jehovah is loving the gates of Zion above all the tabernacles of Jacob. Honorable things are spoken in thee, O city of God. Selah. I mention Rahab and Babel to those knowing me. Lo, Philistia and Tyre with Cush. This one was born there. And of Zion it is said, each one was born in her, and he, the Most High, doth establish her. Jehovah doth recount in the describing of the peoples, this one was born there. Selah. Singers also as players on instruments. All thy fountains are in thee. Psalm 88. A song, a psalm, by sons of Korah, to the overseer, concerning the sickness of afflictions, an instruction by Heman the Ezrahite.
O Jehovah, God of my salvation, daily I have cried, nightly before thee. My prayer cometh in before thee. Incline thine ear to my loud cry. For my soul hath been full of evils, and my life hath come to Sheol. I have been reckoned with those going down to the pit. I have been as a man without strength. Among the dead, free, as pierced ones lying in the grave, whom thou hast not remembered any more. Yea, they by thy hand have been cut off. Thou hast put me in the lowest pit, in dark places, in depths. Upon me hath thy fury lain, and with all thy breakers thou hast afflicted. Selah. Thou hast put mine acquaintance far from me. Thou hast made me an abomination to them. Shut up, I go not forth. Mine eye hath grieved because of affliction. I called thee, O Jehovah, all the day. I have spread out unto thee my hands. To the dead dost thou do wonders? Do Rephaim rise? Do they thank thee? Selah. Is thy kindness recounted in the grave, thy faithfulness in destruction? Are thy wonders known in the darkness, and thy righteousness in the land of forgetfulness? And I unto thee, O Jehovah, I have cried, and in the morning doth my prayer come before thee. Why, O Jehovah, castest thou off my soul? Thou hidest thy face from me. I am afflicted and expiring from youth. I have borne thy terrors. I pine away. Over me hath thy wrath passed. Thy terrors have cut me off. They have surrounded me as waters all the day. They have gone round against me together. Thou hast put far from me lover and friend. Mine acquaintance is the place of darkness.
Psalm 89. An instruction by Ethan the Ezrahite. Of the kind acts of Jehovah, to the age I sing. To all generations I make known thy faithfulness with my mouth. For I said, to the age is kindness built, the heavens. Thou dost establish thy faithfulness in them. I have made a covenant for my chosen. I have sworn to David my servant. Even to the age do I establish thy seed, and have built to generation and generation thy throne. Selah. And the heavens confess thy wonders, O Jehovah. Thy faithfulness also is in an assembly of holy ones. For who in the sky compareth himself to Jehovah, is like to Jehovah among sons of the mighty. God is very terrible in the secret counsel of his holy ones, and fearful over all surrounding him. O Jehovah, God of hosts, who is like thee, a strong jaw? And thy faithfulness is round about thee. Thou art ruler over the pride of the sea. In the lifting up of its billows thou dost restrain them. Thou hast bruised Rahab as one wounded. With the arm of thy strength thou hast scattered thine enemies.
Thine are the heavens, the earth also is thine. The habitable world and its fullness, thou hast founded them. North and south thou hast appointed them. Tabor and Hermon in thy name do sing. Thou hast an arm with might. Strong is thy hand, high thy right hand. Righteousness and judgment are the fixed place of thy throne. Kindness and truth go before thy face. Oh, the happiness of the people knowing the shout, O Jehovah! In the light of thy face they walk habitually. In thy name they rejoice all the day, and in thy righteousness they are exalted. For the beauty of their strength art thou, and in thy good will is our horn exalted. For of Jehovah is our shield, and of the Holy One of Israel our King. Then thou hast spoken in vision to thy saint, yea, thou sayest, I have placed help upon a mighty one, exalted a chosen one out of the people. I have found David my servant, with my holy oil I have anointed him. With whom my hand is established, my arm also doth strengthen him. An enemy exacteth not upon him, and a son of perverseness afflicteth him not. And I have beaten down before him his adversaries, and those hating him I plague. And my faithfulness and kindness are with him, and in my name is his horn exalted. And I have set on the sea his hand, and on the rivers his right hand. He proclaimeth me, Thou art my Father, my God, and the rock of my salvation. I also firstborn do appoint him, highest of the kings of the earth. To the age I keep for him my kindness, and my covenant is steadfast with him. And I have set his seed forever, and his throne as the days of the heavens. If his sons forsake my law, and in my judgments do not walk, if my statutes they pollute, and my commands do not keep, I have looked after with a rod their transgression, and with strokes their iniquity. And my kindness I break not from him, nor do I deal falsely in my faithfulness. I profane not my covenant, and that which is going forth from my lips I change not. Once I have sworn by my holiness, I lie not to David. His seed is to the age, and his throne is as the sun before me. As the moon it is established to the age, and the witness in the sky is steadfast. Selah. And thou hast cut off, and dost reject. Thou hast shown thyself wroth with thine anointed, hast rejected the covenant of thy servant. Thou hast polluted to the earth his crown. Thou hast broken down all his hedges. Thou hast made his fenced places a ruin. Spoiled him have all passing by the way. He hath been a reproach to his neighbors. Thou hast exalted the right hand of his adversaries. Thou hast caused all his enemies to rejoice. Also thou turnest back the sharpness of his sword, and hast not established him in battle, hast caused him to cease from his brightness, and his throne to the earth hast cast down. Thou hast shortened the days of his youth, hast covered him over with shame. Selah. Till when, O Jehovah, art thou hidden? Forever doth thy fury burn as fire? Remember, I pray thee, what is lifetime. Wherefore in vain hast thou created all the sons of men? Who is the man that liveth and doth not see death? He delivereth his soul from the hand of Sheol. Selah. Where are thy former kindnesses, O Lord? Thou hast sworn to David in thy faithfulness. Remember, O Lord, the reproach of thy servants. I have borne in my bosom all the strivings of the peoples, wherewith thine enemies reproached, O Jehovah, wherewith they have reproached the steps of thine anointed. Blessed is Jehovah to the age. Amen and amen. Psalm 90. A prayer of Moses, the man of God. Lord, a habitation thou hast been to us in generation and generation, before mountains were brought forth, and thou dost form the earth and the world, even from age unto age thou art God. Thou turnest man unto a bruised thing, and sayest, Turn back, ye sons of men. For 1,000 years in thine eyes are as yesterday, for it passeth on, yea, a watch by night. Thou hast inundated them, they are asleep. In the morning as grass he changeth. In the morning it flourisheth, and hath changed. At evening it is cut down, and hath withered. For we were consumed in thine anger, and in thy fury we have been troubled. Thou hast set our iniquities before thee, our hidden things at the light of thy face. For all our days pined away in thy wrath. We consumed our years as a meditation. Days of our years, in them are 70 years, and if by reason of might 80 years. Yet is there enlargement, labor, and vanity, for it hath been cut off hastily, and we fly away. Who knoweth the power of thine anger, and according to thy fear, thy wrath? To number our days aright let us know, and we bring the heart to wisdom. Turn back, O Jehovah, till when? And repent concerning thy servants. Satisfy us at morn with thy kindness, and we sing and rejoice all our days. Cause us to rejoice according to the days wherein thou hast afflicted us, the years we have seen evil. Let thy work appear unto thy servants, and thine honor on their sons. And let the pleasantness of Jehovah our God be upon us, and the work of our hands establish on us. Yea, the work of our hands establish it.
The end of Psalms 81 through 90. Recording by Mark Penfold. Psalms 91 through 100 of the Book of the Psalms, from the Young's Literal Translation of the Bible, translated by Robert Young. This Libreviox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Mark Penfold. Psalm 91. He who is dwelling in the secret place of the Most High, in the shade of the Mighty, lodgeth habitually. He is saying of Jehovah, My refuge and my bulwark, my God, I trust in him. For he delivereth thee from the snare of a fowler, from a calamitous pestilence. With his pinion he covereth thee over, and under his wings thou dost trust. A shield and buckler is his truth. Thou art not afraid of fear by night, of arrow that flieth by day, of pestilence and thick darkness that walketh, of destruction that destroyeth at noon. There fall at thy side 1,000, and a myriad at thy right hand. Unto thee it cometh not nigh. But with thine eyes thou lookest, and the reward of the wicked thou seest. For thou, O Jehovah, art my refuge. The Most High thou madest thy habitation. Evil happeneth not unto thee, and a plague cometh not near thy tent. For his messengers he chargeth for thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. On the hands they bear thee up, lest thou smite against a stone thy foot. On lion and asp thou treadest, thou trampest young lion and dragon. Because in me he hath delighted, I also deliver him. I set him on high, because he hath known my name. He doth call me, and I answer him. I am with him in distress. I deliver him and honor him. With length of days I satisfy him, and I cause him to look on my salvation. Psalm 92. A psalm, a song for the Sabbath day. Good to give thanks to Jehovah, and to sing praises to thy name, O Most High, to declare in the morning thy kindness and thy faithfulness in the nights, on 10 strings and on psaltery, on higgaion with harp. For thou hast caused me to rejoice, O Jehovah, in thy work. Concerning the works of thy hands I sing. How great have been thy works, O Jehovah! Very deep have been thy thoughts. A brutish man doth not know, and a fool understandeth not this. When the wicked flourish as a herb, and blossom do all workers of iniquity, for their being destroyed for ever and ever. And thou art high to the age, O Jehovah. For lo, thine enemies, O Jehovah, for lo, thine enemies do perish, separate themselves do all workers of iniquity. And thou exaltest as a reem my horn. I have been anointed with fresh oil. And mine eye looketh on mine enemies, of those rising up against me. The evildoers do mine ears hear. The righteous as a palm tree flourisheth, as a cedar in Lebanon he groweth. Those planted in the house of Jehovah, in the courts of our God, do flourish. Still they bring forth in old age, fat and flourishing are they, to declare that upright is Jehovah my rock, and there is no perverseness in him. Psalm 93. Jehovah hath reigned, excellency he hath put on. Jehovah put on strength, he girded himself. Also, established is the world, unmoved. Established is thy throne since then. From the age thou art.
Floods have lifted up, O Jehovah, floods have lifted up their voice, floods lift up their breakers. Then the voices of many mighty waters, breakers of a sea, mighty on high is Jehovah. Thy testimonies have been very steadfast. To thy house comely is holiness, O Jehovah, for length of days. Psalm 94. God of vengeance, Jehovah, God of vengeance, shine forth. Be lifted up, O Judge of the earth, send back a recompense on the proud. Till when do the wicked, O Jehovah, till when do the wicked exult? They utter, they speak an old saw, all working iniquity do boast themselves. Thy people, O Jehovah, they bruise, and thine inheritance they afflict. Widow and sojourner they slay, and fatherless ones they murder. And they say, Jehovah doth not see, and the God of Jacob doth not consider. Consider ye brutish among the people, and ye foolish. When do ye act wisely? He who planteth the ear, doth he not hear? He who formeth the eye, doth he not see? He who is instructing nations, doth he not reprove? He who is teaching man knowledge is Jehovah. He knoweth the thoughts of man, that they are vanity. Oh, the happiness of the man whom thou instructest, O Jah, and out of thy law teachest him, to give rest to him from days of evil, while a pit is digged for the wicked. For Jehovah leaveth not his people, and his inheritance forsaketh not. For to righteousness judgment turneth back, and after it all the upright of heart. Who riseth up for me with evildoers? Who stationeth himself for me with workers of iniquity? Unless Jehovah were a help to me, my soul had almost inhabited silence. If I have said, my foot hath slipped, thy kindness, O Jehovah, supporteth me. In the abundance of my thoughts within me, thy comforts delight my soul. Is a throne of mischief joined with thee, a framer of perverseness by statute? They decree against the soul of the righteous, and innocent blood declare wicked. And Jehovah is for a high place to me, and my God is for a rock, my refuge. And turneth back on them their iniquity, and in their wickedness cutteth them off. Jehovah our God doth cut them off. Psalm 95. Come, we sing to Jehovah, we shout to the rock of our salvation. We come before his face with thanksgiving, with psalms we shout to him. For a great God is Jehovah, and a great King over all gods, in whose hand are the deep places of earth, and the strong places of hills are his. Whose is the sea, and he made it, and his hands formed the dry land. Come in, we bow ourselves, and we bend, we kneel before Jehovah our Maker. For he is our God, and we the people of his pasture, and the flock of his hand. Today, if to his voice ye hearken, harden not your heart as in Meribah, as in the day of Massah in the wilderness, where your fathers have tried me, have proved me, yea, have seen my work. 40 years I am weary of the generation, and I say, a people erring in heart, they, and they have not known my ways, where I swear in mine anger, if they come into my rest. Psalm 96. Sing to Jehovah a new song. Sing to Jehovah all the earth. Sing to Jehovah, bless his name, proclaim from day to day his salvation. Declare among nations his honor, among all the peoples his wonders. For great is Jehovah, and praised greatly. Fearful he is over all gods. For all the gods of the peoples are not, and Jehovah made the heavens. Honor and majesty are before him, strength and beauty in his sanctuary. Ascribe to Jehovah, O families of the peoples, ascribe to Jehovah honor and strength. Ascribe to Jehovah the honor of his name. Lift up a present and come into his courts. Bow yourselves to Jehovah in the honor of holiness. Be afraid of his presence, all the earth. Say among nations, Jehovah hath reigned. Also, established is the world, unmoved. He judgeth the peoples in uprightness. The heavens joy, and the earth is joyful. The sea and its fullness roar. The field exulteth, and all that is in it. Then sing to all trees of the forest. Before Jehovah, for he hath come to judge the earth. He judgeth the world in righteousness, and the peoples in his faithfulness. Psalm 97.
Jehovah hath reigned. The earth is joyful. Many isles rejoice. Cloud and darkness are round about him. Righteousness and judgment the basis of his throne. Fire before him goeth, and burneth round about his adversaries. Lightened have his lightnings the world. The earth hath seen, and is pained. Hills like wax melted before Jehovah, before the Lord of all the earth. The heavens declared his righteousness, and all the peoples have seen his honor. Ashamed are all servants of a graven image, those boasting themselves in idols. Bow yourselves to him, all ye gods. Zion hath heard and rejoiceth, and daughters of Judah are joyful, because of thy judgments, O Jehovah. For thou, Jehovah, art most high over all the earth. Greatly thou hast been exalted over all gods. Ye who love Jehovah, hate evil. He is keeping the souls of his saints. From the hand of the wicked he delivereth them. Light is sown for the righteous, and for the upright of heart, joy. Rejoice, ye righteous, in Jehovah, and give thanks at the remembrance of his holiness. Psalm 98, a psalm. Sing ye to Jehovah a new song, for wonders he hath done. Given salvation to him hath his right hand and his holy arm. Jehovah hath made known his salvation. Before the eyes of the nations he hath revealed his righteousness. He hath remembered his kindness and his faithfulness to the house of Israel. All ends of earth have seen the salvation of our God. Shout to Jehovah, all the earth. Break forth and cry aloud and sing. Sing to Jehovah with harp and voice of praise, with trumpets and voice of a cornet. Shout ye before the King Jehovah. Roar doth the sea and its fullness, the world and the inhabitants in it. Floods clap hand, together hills cry aloud. Before Jehovah, for he hath come to judge the earth. He judgeth the world in righteousness, and the people in uprightness. Psalm 99. Jehovah hath reigned. Peoples tremble. The inhabitant of the cherubs, the earth shaketh. Jehovah in Zion is great, and high he is over all the peoples. They praise thy name. Great and fearful, holy it is. And the strength of the king hath loved judgment. Thou hast established uprightness. Judgment and righteousness in Jacob, thou hast done. Exalt ye Jehovah our God, and bow yourselves at his footstool. Holy is he. Moses and Aaron among his priests, and Samuel among those proclaiming his name. They are calling unto Jehovah, and he doth answer them. In a pillar of cloud he speaketh unto them. They have kept his testimonies, and the statute he hath given to them. O Jehovah our God, thou hast afflicted them. A God forgiving thou hast been to them, and taking vengeance on their actions. Exalt ye Jehovah our God, and bow yourselves at his holy hill, for holy is Jehovah our God.
Psalm 100, a psalm of thanksgiving.
Shout to Jehovah, all the earth. Serve Jehovah with joy. Come before him with singing. Know that Jehovah, he is God. He made us, and we are his people, and the flock of his pasture. Enter ye his gates with thanksgiving, his courts with praise. Give ye thanks to him, bless ye his name. For good is Jehovah, to the age his kindness, and to generation and generation his faithfulness.
The end of Psalms 91 through 100. Recording by Mark Penfold.